with you today. Before we get started, would you please state your name and occupation?
Tony Starks. I am a social studies teacher at Bloomington North High School.
Okay, so I just have a few questions to ask you, and then we can get back to our usual Wednesday. What were some moments in your life that impacted you becoming a teacher?
There's a couple. I mean, there's not like one like specific moment that I was like, I have to be a teacher. But more is kind of like a sequence of events that kept happening that kept bringing me back to that way of thinking. When I was in high school, I was in National Honor Society, and one of the programs that we had to do with National Honor Society is we could go into the middle schools, and we worked with the middle school students and talk to them about like drugs and stuff. And so we were trying to teach them like how to say no to drugs, basically. And I don't know, something about that experience, I really enjoyed kind of working with the kids and interacting. And so every time I would kind of share a story that I had with the group. And one time, the teacher whose class we went into to do this, he actually talked to the head lady of the program, and he's like, that guy, he's great. He should get into teaching, you know? And then I just had a couple of other instances where people would be like, well, I think you'd be a really great teacher. And you know, in high school, teaching wasn't really on my brain at all, and so I was like, whatever. But then when I got into college and started thinking about it, I was like, that could work.
So at what time did you feel it was right to be a teacher?
I mean, building off of that, it would probably be freshman year of college. So my entire freshman year of college, I was exploratory. I didn't have a major. And so instead of having a major, I spent that year trying to figure out, who do I want to be? And so that was really hard. Like, what in the world am I supposed to do with my life? So throughout the year, I took actually a career course, and so it was supposed to evaluate what I was good at and what I would like to do. And like I said, people had always mentioned teaching, and so it kind of kept coming back to that. And so everything that I did always inevitably came back to teaching. And so now, at a certain point, I was like, you know, what am I fighting this for? Let's just do this. And then sophomore year of college, I declared my major, social studies education, at the secondary level.
If you had to pick another job besides being a teacher, what would it be?
That is really hard. I mean, I'm trying to think here. I don't think there's necessarily another job out there that I would prefer to this one. Some days I wish this job were easier or more like other jobs, but you know, I mean, if I could be like a professional soccer coach, if we're thinking like ideal, like, oh sweet, I'll be the World Cup, U.S. World Cup men's soccer coach, that'd be pretty sweet. But otherwise, I'm pretty satisfied with being a teacher.
If you had the choice, would you choose to change your past in any way?
This is a hard question. It's a really hard question because, you know, obviously I'm satisfied with who I am as an individual today. I really like who I am. I like where I'm at in my life. I have a lot of great things going on in my life. But I think sometimes people are lying if they'd say that they wouldn't like do things a different way. And so especially like in high school and college, I would always think about, you know, oh man, I totally screwed that situation up. I wish I could have redone that situation. So is there a certain moment in my life that I would like to redo? Yes and no, you know? Part of me always wanted to play college soccer, and so I started to kind of go through that process of, you know, looking at colleges, and that didn't pan out. It turned out very poorly, actually, and so it kind of turned me off of soccer for a while, so I didn't play college soccer. And part of me always wonders, you know, should I have gone to like a smaller college and played college soccer? But then at the same time, if I did that, then would I be at North teaching? Would I even be a teacher? Would I have met my fiance? So, like, sometimes I do have, you know, wonders about things like, should I have done it differently? But at the same time, I don't know if I want to be anywhere else differently now, if that makes sense.
What are some things students have taught you during your teaching career?
I think they've taught me to relax and enjoy it. You know, sometimes I think I get a little too caught up with, we have to cover this content in this amount of time, And so I've got to pound it into you. And so if you're not getting it in that amount of time, I start to freak out in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're running low on time. They're not getting it. I start to get panicked. I start to get frustrated. And I'm sure my students can tell this too, you know. And so all of a sudden, we're short on time. No, we must hurry. Shush, don't talk, you know. And so after a while, you know, kids kind of get the point across of, listen, Mr. Starks, relax. It's okay. So sometimes it's important to kind of create the climate is sometimes better than getting the end result, you know.
Have you had any perfect situations where you felt that this is the reason I wanted to teach?
I think throughout my pretty brief teaching career, I've already had a couple of those moments where it felt really cool. You know, I'll read teaching books. You know, there's books by other teachers, and they'll kind of outline these amazing stories of like, well, this was going on, and then, you know, we had this wonderful moment, and I just felt like so great to be a teacher. And I don't know if I have one of those beautiful, eloquent stories, but at the same time, when I feel like I've made a difference, you know, just if I see a behavior in a student kind of improve, or if, you know, they tend to respond to me and they open up to me, if a student, you know, will share like a part of their life, that feels really cool to me, because I feel like I've kind of broken through that outer shield that we all kind of carry. We all have that outer shield, and we don't want to let other people in. And so if I can break down those shields, and then it becomes more of just kind of a relaxed relationship with students, that's a pretty cool experience.
How has your family supported you through this time in your life?
Well, I have a big family. I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. And my family is a type where we don't necessarily like talk to each other every single day on the telephone, but we are always incredibly supportive of each other. And so I know that if I ever need anything, I can turn to any one of them, and they will give me whatever they can. So if it's just if they need to listen, my sister is an elementary teacher, and so she kind of can relate to some of my teacher problems. You know, students are just being a pain in the butt. I can't stand it. I call her, you know, and so she's there to support me. If I need some life advice, I'm gonna call my mom and dad, and I'm gonna ask them, you know, what do I do? I don't know what to do. If I have relationship problems, you know, I'll call my older brother and say, fiance, women, what are you gonna do? You know, so it's been really nice just to kind of lean on different people at different times, and they're always there for me.
How has the staff here at North affected your life in a positive or negative way?
Well, I was here 2 years ago, was my first year teaching, and even just kind of looking at it from 2 years ago to now, it's been a big change with the staff. The whole PLC thing, I don't know if you guys know a ton about that, but it's supposed to be having teachers be more collaborative. And I think that's been really good in a lot of ways. And so it's helped get me out of my classroom more and interacting with other teachers. And so I don't necessarily have a great relationship with a lot of teachers in other departments, but with the social studies wing, I feel pretty comfortable with all of them. And I mean, it's just great to, you know, kind of like the family, where you can lean on them if you need to. If there's a problem, you can kind of go ask them, you know, what have you done? What do you do that's so effective? And then maybe even more importantly is just kind of the going and chatting with them and telling stories and telling jokes and kind of relaxing has been a nice new added impact that's been great.
What is your life like out of school? Any jobs or hobbies?
School's a pretty big focus. I go home and I tend to grade or lesson plan or something like that. But when I'm kicking back, I still love to play soccer. So I coach. I coach a U11 Cutters team, and I also coach the girls JV team here at North. So coaching's pretty important. But if it's just me and I've got some free time and I wanna kill some time, I'll probably just turn on the video games, and me and my buddies will maybe hook up and play some Call of Duty or something, you know.
Just one more question. How do you feel about teaching, and was it your life goal?
Was it? I don't know. Is it? Yes. So, like I said, growing up, teaching was never really on my brain. It wasn't something that I had even thought about. But, you know, now that I've become a teacher, and now that, you know, I spend so much time involved in it, it really is kind of a big part of who I am. You know, it shapes what I do. I feel really empowered by it because I think I have the opportunity to impact people in beneficial way. And that means a lot to me. I really do want to use my power for good, if you will.
Okay, thank you, sir, and it's great to interview you.
Thank you.